I think over the past couple of years, like this feels like the era of stand up. Like they're everywhere. Um, and so my business partner, Donnie, who owns Stand Up New York, which is a comedy club here in New York City, we started talking about this idea is like, well, comics know how to make amazing content that breaks through. And so what if we had an agency where our creatives were comics? And that kind of opened up the world to us. So our roster is about 300 plus comics. Those are comics that we know from every sort of background and age and, perspective. And we work with brands that want to get into the comedy space, and we come up with ideas and connect those ideas to comics and go make things that are funny.
It's not just great because it's the era of stand up, which I agree with, as you said, but I think people both want something that's great and creative, which often means created by someone who's great at creating things, but they want authenticity. And I think that's
Mm.
why a lot of people sort of run to the influencer and like small cap influencer area. But I would say stand up comedy can be as deeply authentic as anything there is. And then you have the benefit of someone who, as you said, makes truly great content, which, may not always be the case when you're just going to someone who's built their own online following. Because there's a lot of ways to build a following, and honestly, like not always is it make incredible content that's going to be scintillating to people who've never seen you before.
Clients, when we reach out, potential clients will say, yeah, but, you know, our brand isn't funny, or we love the idea of humor, but we're not, how would you bring humor to our brand? And the answer I have, the answer I always give back is, well, stand up at its best can talk about anything and make anything universal. So it really doesn't matter as long as you can come up with a smart way to talk about the brand in a way that's, like, to your point, authentically funny. Um, nothing's off limits.
It's fantastic because there's all this research from a long time ago and from now indicating that there are honestly few things an ad can be, if anything, better than funny. And a lot of the people doing this research, your big famous talking heads with big marketing podcasts, have kind of scratched their head and say, if we've known that funny ads are so effective and we've known this for so long, why are so few ads funny anymore? And I think to your point, it's a lot of brands just think they can't be funny. And there's a lot of research indicating that that's almost choosing to lose for a lot of brands.
Yeah, we, I think, and I can say this because I spend so much time in advertising. Like, there's definitely a difference between ad funny and real funny. You know, ad funny to me is something that ends with like a punchline, said no one ever, right? Like, it's just not funny and it never will be funny. But when you can find something that's authentically funny, and the brand kind of gets credit for, like, wow, you just made me laugh, um, then, we win. And, look at any comic, right? Like, everybody's got an airplane bit. Everybody's got a relationship bit. Everybody's got like I'm a parent bit. And it's because we're humans and it's universal, and these are universal themes. So, we had a potential client reach out and was like, how do you make, we're a yoga studio. Could you make us funny? What's funny about us? I'm like, a million things.
Yes,
How,
yeah.
how far are you willing to go?
Yeah, I feel like there are multiple like sitcom bits throughout history that take place in a yoga class.
100%. And, it's like, I mean, you've worked with enough brand director or, brand managers and CMOs who are so close to the brand that they don't sort of see a way out. And so I think that's why, coming up with ideas where comics can get plugged in and they can develop in their own voice, and we can create content that feels, again, like really authentic, first and foremost to the comic. And then the brand happens to be there. Yeah. It just works.
And it's really exciting to me because as someone who's trying to deploy, paid media or owned media on a website really effectively, commonly the struggle is people think, well, I want to make content that works in this channel that pumps my brand, but that people expect to see in the channel and find plausible as something to not just swipe past or hit the skip button on. And right now, comedy is so endemic to a lot of those channels and always has been. And so I think it's a great way to do something that from a qualitative media strategic layer makes sense. And then we know from, mountains of research on consumer sentiment and aided awareness and every positive leading indicator that funny ads are going to register really well on that. And so I think it's really exciting that there's an offering like this as, an analytics measurement and media person,
Mm.
because when you're deploying media and analyzing and measuring it, I mean, you really always like your main hope more than anything you do is that the creative will be good and not really ineffective, because no one's ever happy with incredibly accurate and insightful measurement and insights about a campaign that didn't work. So I think it's great to have an offering that really embraces something that has quantitatively throughout history proven to be effective for
Mm.
advertising, and really aims to help brands see how easy it is to put that tool back in their hand and put down the deathly seriousness and maybe pick up the humor tool again.
Yeah, I think the other thing to kind of think about is, and and I know from working in advertising as well, like the ability to turn around creative very quickly based on what's happening in culture is like almost impossible, especially when everybody's working on other projects and like there's allocations and all those things. And so a thing happens and suddenly 3 weeks later you put out an ad, but the joke is already gone. And it feels like not funny anymore. And, I think we're lucky because whenever something happens in culture, um, comics are the first people to have an opinion on it, like a perspective on it. So, in addition to being able to do kind of campaign work, we're also able to turn around content very quickly because if something happens, I can call a comic and within an hour or two, they can turn something back around and you can put it in market. So, um, it's a really powerful weapon. And I don't know. I mean, I think culturally, no matter what side you're on, everything's deadly serious now. So it's got to go the other way.
100%. And it's just a no-brainer to me. I mean, the ads that are funny get results that are serious. You can touch culture, like, or be a part of it, however anyone wants to phrase it. And I think it's very much aligned with where things are going to go for a long time.